Welcome to our How to Survive Zoom U webinar. So really quickly, just to introduce myself, my name is Daniel. I'm one of the staff mentors here at A2F. And
yeah, my name is Alrona, and I'm also a mentor here at A2F.
Yeah, so today we just wanted to quickly introduce a panel that we have assembled just to kind of talk through some of our experiences from Zoom U this last year. So we had each of the panelists actually send us a meme of their experience of COVID life or of Zoom U this last year. So we're gonna share a presentation. They can introduce themselves through that. While we're waiting, we want to also invite you to just kind of chat, kind of throw into the chat some information about yourself, so we can also tailor some of the content at the end of the webinar to help you guys. So if you can kind of just type in your name, your year, your major, and then just for fun, just know what's one thing that you missed during shelter in place. All right, why don't we start with Vivek?
Yo, I'm Vivek. I'm a third-year CS major. That is my meme. Yeah, that looks a lot like what my future is gonna look like after a while. Yeah.
All right. The next one will be Johanna.
Hi, I'm Johanna. I'm a third-year human bio major. Yeah, this is how I've been feeling with Zoom University in quarantine. That like everything outside my house is like but inside we have toilet paper and everything's fine.
Hi, I'm Julita. I'm a first-year psychology major. This is pretty self-explanatory. I came into quarantine thinking everything would be easier, but watching a 50-minute lecture really does take 2 hours with notes.
Oh, why is that?
You just pause a lot to take notes. I watch lecture, speed it up, and it still takes me 2 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
All right.
Very good student.
I just want to say that it takes me 25 minutes for a 50-minute lecture because you can do time to speed, but I don't necessarily recommend it. So my name's Nick. I'm currently a first-year chemical engineering major, but I'm switching to mechanical engineering. So if you have any questions on the major switch process, I can definitely help you with that. The meme I chose was this one with the goose, because the hardest part about Zoom University for me was I really do miss my friends, and they were my main support system at school, but I definitely found ways to still connect with them through this process.
All right.
All right, thank you for panelists.
All right, so thanks, guys. So I think we're just kind of jump right on in. So just want to start with this question. So what's been the hardest thing about Zoom U, and what's one thing that's helped you to adapt? So maybe you kind of just start with Vivek again.
Yo, so I guess the hardest thing for me was just to stay focused on my assignments and to remember that I actually have an assignment due, and to actually do the assignment. Yeah, that was hard.
What's one thing that's helped?
I don't really think I've overcome this difficulty yet. Yeah. But if there was a thing that would help, it would probably be making a schedule, and planning out stuff ahead of time. Yeah, that would probably help you a lot, speaking from experience.
That's what I do. It works a lot for me.
Oh, that's very nice. Oh, it's even color-coded. So maybe we can jump to Nick then. So what about you? Like, what's been hard and what's helped?
The most difficult part about online school for me in the beginning was the lack of accountability that it has, because a lot of my lectures are asynchronous, which means that the professors kind of just post them like random times throughout the week, and they just expect you to know the content and then submit a homework by like Sunday at midnight. So I definitely lost like the normal schedule that I used to keep, and just like the schedule of going to class and studying with friends afterwards. So I began to develop some procrastination problems. But the thing that helped me most was I reformed the study groups, and I made sure that my friends and I created a system. So what we do is we use Zoom screen share, and we all watch the lecture together, and then we take notes together, and then we just do some practice problems after, and that really helps. And another thing I do is sometimes I just do a de-stress events with my friends, because really college is about relaxing too. You can't just stress yourself out, because that'll just burn yourself out in the end. So what my friends and I do is just like we do like mukbangs, which is like eating together on camera.
Sorry, what?
Mukbang, it's like a Korean fad thing kind of on YouTube where people just eat like on camera and people just watch, but we all do it together, so it's not too awkward. And then we just play games like Square Bio.
You're leaving out the most important thing about mukbang, which is people eat disgusting amounts of food.
Well,
not a
that's what I
mukbang
do,
unless you're eating like
so
3 buckets of chicken by yourself.
that's easy,
Oh, that's easy.
my opinion.
Oh, we need to see a recording of these mukbangs with Nick Choi. And then what about Jolina?
I'm pretty lazy by nature. Sad but true. So like Vivek, finding the motivation to write or just to watch your lectures on time and like stick with it, as well as just like completing assignments beforehand. Because I know a lot of people say that quarantine is like a weekend all day or like a weekend all week because there's nothing to do. But I feel the opposite. It feels like every day is a weekday because I'm always doing work.
All right, so what's helped?
Comodoro sessions and like general online study sessions with my friends. Yeah, I really need someone to like shame me into working. I can't, if someone's watching me and I have my friends with me, it's really hard for me to just goof off and do something else. Like I need someone to sit there with me and be like, you've been on Instagram for 2 hours, you need to get off and like watch your chem lecture.
See, you mentioned Pomodoro sessions. Can you talk a little bit about that?
They're basically just a style of studying. So you have a certain amount of time. I always forget the time periods. I think it's like an hour where you study for an hour straight and then you get a reward, which is like a 5-minute break. And then you do this multiple times. And at the end of one cycle, you get a 10-minute break or like however much longer you decide it is. And then you repeat.
All right, so then maybe last person. So Johanna, can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, so I also struggled with the self-study and staying on top of lectures. And what I found that helped is following like your schedule as if you were going to class in person. So setting aside that hour, even if you don't have live Zooms, to just watch the lectures and do homework. And then also having a designated spot where you do your work, because oftentimes your body and your mind get confused. Like, oh, are we at home? Are we on vacation? Or are we at school? So having a designated spot where you sit and do work so that your mind knows like, okay, it's time to get stuff done.
Yeah. All right, thanks. So thank you to the panelists. I think one question that's been coming up besides just about what's been hard, I think also is besides personal initiative, like what are some online resources that you guys have pulled on just to help during the Zoom U time? So maybe Nick, you can start and just share some of what you've been using.
So there honestly really isn't a difference in online resources with distance learning. There's still a lot of resources offered by the school. For example, there's LARC, which is a tutoring service offered by students who got like A+ in the class before. So they have a lot of insight on how the professors write the tests and like they know the general teaching style. So that was a great resource for me. I used that first quarter and it really did save my GPA because I had no idea what's going on with that class. But LARC is really good because a student can take it down to your level because that's how they learned it the best. Some other resources offered are the Writing Center, the Physical Science Tutoring Center, which can help you with chem and physics. And there's also the peer advisors and office hours. All these resources are usually just offered on the professor's Canvas page, but if they're not, you can also reach out to them in email and they'll give it to you.
Oh, all right. How about Jolina?
In terms of picking classes, because I know that's what a lot of freshmen are probably worried about, one really good resource to like know what classes you need to take and like maybe plan ahead of time is looking at DegreeWorks on the university registrar site. You just go under student access and you can look at DegreeWorks. It tells you everything that all the requirements for your major, for your school, and for GEs. And so it also gives you a list of the classes that meet the requirements for that specific section. So you can kind of just go in there and like look and just know that you're like fulfilling it. And then it also tells you like what things you've already completed from like AP classes in high school, or like maybe like you took community college classes, you can see what classes meet what requirements. So that's really helpful. And then if you want to know if like a class that you're taking is good or not, or like whether or not it's going to be difficult, besides like your standard rate my professor, there's also a thing called Eater evals, which at the end of every quarter, UCI students take an evaluation of their professors and of TAs. And so the results of those surveys are uploaded online and you can access them through that website. If you just Google search it, it'll come up. And yeah, it's really in depth. So it'll tell you like what the workload is like the average GPA of the students who are in that class, like stuff like that. And so you can kind of just get like the standpoint of UCI students who've taken that professor before, and then you can search for specific classes as well.
It's nice. And then Vivek.
Yeah, a couple things I wanted to add. Yeah, was that if you like if you're like struggling in a class or you've got like specific questions you want to ask a professor, you can go to office hours, and essentially what they are, they're like I guess it's kind of one-on-one time, but not really one-on-one. It's like more specific, like more time with the professor. Like you can just ask them questions and stuff. As for where to get like that information, so in your class canvas, you can find, the professor will give office hour timings, or on their class website, there's going to have that stuff as well. And another resource that's pretty useful, just in general, are academic counselors. So for CS, the email for the academic counselor is ucounsel@uci.edu. But you can go to the UCI website, or you could just Google the emails for the counselors for each department. And then just if you've got any questions about what classes, prerequisites, that kind of stuff, like graduation requirements, just shoot them an email and they should be able to answer all of that for you. Also, for those of you, I guess, that have grad school aspirations, I know it's a bit early, but a solid resource would be graduate counselors. So for ICS, the email is gcounsel@ics.uci.edu. I guess we should give out these resources like afterwards, but the idea is that each department should have their own grad counselor, set of grad counselors, or like a grad counselor email. And if you've got like any questions, you can just go ahead and email them. As for what classes to take and what not to take, I would actually, as Jolena said, use resources like Eater Evals or Rate My Professor for that, in that regard.
Okay. Thanks, guys. So I think another one of the big questions that's been coming up too is what exams are like online. So maybe Johanna and Jolena, you guys can weigh in a little bit on that.
So it really depends on the professor. Different professors are differently strict on the classes. You can kind of get a sense from just like the professor's personality, but it also kind of depends on the department that they're in. I found that like STEM classes like math, science, the hard sciences like that tend to be really strict in comparison, especially since a lot of them have common finals. So the entire department has the same final that is all taken at the same time. But with those sorts of classes, they're usually pretty strict. So you have to use some kind of proctoring website. So usually Respondus or ProctorU. And then, so usually they're closed book, closed note, closed neighbor, closed internet, like everything. You're locked into one website with your test and you're not allowed to use anything else. And then either through a webcam, someone can watch you like a proctor, or they have a video recording and it'll automatically flag things that they think are suspicious. And then other classes are a little more laid back. So my psych class, it's open book, open note. It's closed pre-poll and like closed internet, but there's nothing that like proctors you. It's just honor system, although I wouldn't recommend cheating because but and then I'm also in Humanities Corps, if any of you are taking that, but it's really dependent also on seminar instructor, and so that's also pretty chill. For my instructor, she just opened up the prompt so we could all access it, and then we just had to submit our essays and like our short answer questions before the 24-hour deadline.
Yeah, like Jolena said, it really depends on your professor. For the most part, because everything's kind of chaotic, your professors will kind of be lenient and not give you as much work, but there's always, some professors who really want you to work hard despite the circumstances. But yeah, for some classes, it might be low stress without proctoring. So then it's just kind of at your own pace. And then, yeah, there's some classes that you have to proctor for. Usually your grade will depend on 2 or 3 midterms and a final, sometimes just 1 midterm and a final. But yeah, it just depends on your professor.
All right, yeah, thank you guys. So I think maybe before we close, I want to give you guys the opportunity just to kind of give and opening it up to anyone here. If you have any specific, like major specific advice, like what would you share with someone who's coming into UCI this year?
So for CS, I would recommend Piazza, and you need to know how to Google stuff. Like that's probably going to be the most important skill. Just Googling for answers. When I mean and be careful when I say Googling for answers, because I don't mean Google for the solution, copy paste that and submit it as your own. I mean, for instance, if there's like a topic you don't know, you should be able to know how to Google it.
I know for engineering that one of the most important parts of engineering is getting involved with clubs, because clubs and extracurriculars are way different than the stuff you learn in class. Because I'm gonna be honest, the stuff you learn in engineering class, especially the first year, is pretty boring. But the clubs could be really interesting, and they can help you really learn and focus like what you want to do in the future. And as an underclassman, it really helped me meet some upperclassmen who know what they're doing and they can help guide me. And another advice I have about STEM classes is it's easy to feel as you're struggling alone, especially with distance learning, because you can't see like how your neighbors are kind of doing, or even just looking around the classroom after midterm and see like when you get the F, you can look to your neighbor and see they also got the F, so it's kind of okay. But now it's important that you have to reach out and you have to kind of just know that other people have felt this way too. And it's upperclassmen are a great way to ask for advice, and they can help guide you and like tell you how to focus your studying.
For bio or kind of healthcare related majors, if you're going into that field, I would just recommend like studying efficiently. Like I know you might feel pressure to read the textbook because everyone else might be doing it, but I found that it's sometimes a waste of time, that you should just delve deep into lecture material, and what the professor tells you is important. And then also that in bio, it's very competitive and you'll feel like you have to compete with other people. But yeah, just know that, like you don't have to be at the top of the class. It's important that you just remember the material for later on, so it'll actually help you in your career.
I think for psych and like a lot of related majors and like the social sciences and like maybe in the humanities, I'm not sure, but it's really important that you understand concepts. It is a lot of memorization, but it's not like a lot of other majors which are really heavy on like smaller details. There are the smaller details, but if you don't understand the concepts, you're not going to do well and you're not going to pass, because a lot of the other things build off of each other. And if you understand like one concept, it's often applicable to other things. And so if you let like the big concepts slip by you, then it's going to affect you heavily later on.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys just for sharing. I think just in the interest of time, we're going to have to end it here. But I want to thank you guys again just for coming and joining our How to Survive Zoom U webinar. I think just a few quick announcements. We wanted, kind of like Nick was sharing to you earlier, but one of the things that helps, especially kind of making it through college, is being able to ask upperclassmen, ask people who've taken those classes before. And so along those lines, one thing that we wanted to plug is a mentorship that our group is offering called Anteater to Anteater. And it's an opportunity for you to connect with an upperclassman or an alum or a recent alumni, and able to ask questions and get help as you guys are taking these first steps here at UCI. So we've thrown the link into the chat, and feel free to click on it and check us out there. I think one other thing is feel free to also check out the rest of the webpage. We have another link here, which is a12irvine.org/connect, and it's an opportunity for you to continue to get more content from us here, hear more from us with like Bible studies as well as webinars like this. So please click on that, and if you get signed up, we also want to send you a welcome kit too. So things like drawstring bag, flyers, as well as a special UCI sticker. That's very limited edition. So check us out there. And then one last thing is that we're going to be having Bible study right after this. So stick around here, and we'll be starting in a few minutes. All right. Thank you guys for coming again. Hope to see you around next time.
Bye. Bye.